So that was initially a concept that I had proposed in 2000-2001 to S.M. Krishna. So then he had presented it to the BBMP. He had asked me to present it. So all the records may be there in the BBMP as well. Because Curzon had his own concept. He wanted a Gothic style of architecture in Bombay, Neo-Classical in Calcutta, and the Madras side should be Indo-Saracenic. When you execute someone, you tie them to the cannon in front like this, and then you fire the cannon from back and it explodes. So next time you go to Chinnaswamy Stadium, you may think about this story then. Because that may be the area where they did it.
Sunil, you told me that you're a fourth generation Bangalorean.
Correct.
And you have a very reputable list of people behind you. So let's start from your great-grandfather.
Starting from my great-grandfather, he was Mr. S.V. Pichamuthu. He was a BA English, and so he became the first Indian headmaster of the Wesleyan Mission School when it became the United Mission School.
What is this Wesley Mission School and where is it today in Bangalore? Is it somewhere in Frasertown?
So there on Mission Road.
Mission Road, okay.
Close to Corporation Circle. Earlier it was in the Pete area as well.
Okay.
That is where Mirza Ismail studied.
Our Dewan?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
he was my great-grandfather's student.
No, that is so cool. So your great-grandfather, BA English, taught Sir Mirza Ismail.
Correct.
So cool.
In recent records that I found during my research, at that time there were no elections as such for the councillor post. So it looks like Dewan Sheshadri Iyer had nominated him as a councillor once as well.
So he's seen 2-3 Diwans come and go and he was in touch with them in some form.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mirza Ismail apparently used to ride on horseback and meet him regularly at his house after his retirement also.
Where is this house? This house that he was staying
This house was in Chamrajpet at that time.
And Sir Mirza Ismail came on horseback from where?
He used to do the rounds of the city on horseback.
Oh my God. That's mad. That's beautiful.
That time the church also was connected to the Anglican Church of England. So he was part of the committee that was moving it away from the...
Who was part of the committee? Your great-grandfather?
There was a South India United Church at that time.
Okay.
That is being formed.
Right.
Of various Methodists and various other denominations.
Pichamuthu, right? What are the origins of Pichamuthu?
Origins are Tamil Nadu. Then they moved to Mysore and then Bangalore.
Okay, so that was great-grandfather. Then grandfather.
My grandfather, he had studied in United Mission School at that time. And then he moved to Central College where he did his geology. Maharaja at that time was also sending some noted students abroad for further studies as well. So he had also got the chance to do a PhD as well.
Which year would
1927, I think, is when I saw his thesis over there in the university library.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't take any photographs. They said you can come back later, probably order a copy or something.
And what was his thesis about?
That was about the Charnockite problem. So Charnockite is basically the underlying structure of the rocks. There's a person called Job Charnock in Calcutta. His gravestone is made out of that stone. So it was called the Charnockite stone. Then he had the opportunity to come back, and actually at that point in time, he couldn't get the Central College principalship at that time. So he became the principal of Government Arts College, which is across the road. Then he also helped in setting up a cricket ground near the jail. And that was the foundation of the Mysore Cricket Association. So actually a very good cricketer as well. My dad always narrates the story that once they had driven the family car outside the ground and suddenly a cricket ball lands on it. Apparently, it was my grandfather who hit it from the ground.
and dented the family car.
As a geologist, he became the head of mines and geology, Mysore Geological Department. Okay. After Government Arts College, then he became the registrar of Mysore. He had moved to Mysore for some time.
Okay.
Then he came back. Then he became the Mysore Geological Department head.
Okay.
Till around 1954 or so. Towards the end of his stint, they wanted to demolish the Lalbagh Rock as well.
The nice rock that is currently there.
Yeah. And then use that rock as material for Vidhan Saudha and other government buildings as well.
Oh.
So he was a geologist at that time. He had also deeply researched that rock. So there's a similar quarry like that at Mount Joy, which is in Basunguri. You have the Mount Joy Road leading to another quarry, Mount Joy.
So the nice rock is not only in Lalbagh, there was one in Baswangudi as well.
And there are all undulations of the rock, right? So even in Coven Park, you get a few offshoots of it.
Right, okay.
He basically got it certified that it's an extremely primitive rock. So what he did was he got it stopped. He had also friends in the other Geological Survey of India. So through them also he started influencing decisions as well to help get it preserved. So on his 75th birthday, 1975 actually, March 8th or 9th, they unveiled it as a Geological Monument of India.
So today we are able to say with pride that nice rock in Lalbagh is 3,500, 2,500 million years old, still exists because your grandfather said, hey, don't demolish this rock, don't break it up into pieces and use it for construction. That's mad.
So my father was a Cantonment student. He went studied in the ACS school in Singapore. Then he went to IIT Kharagpur.
Okay.
Then did a PhD in the US. Then in 1970, he wanted to come back and help change India. He invented this instrument called the Automatic Visual Range Assessor, AVRA. So he got the 1987, he got the Young Scientist Award at that time. And then it was installed in various airports as well. Actually in later 2000, he designed another system called the AWOS, Automated Weather Observation System. So I was proud at that time because in 2003, 2004, when we had to do a final year project.
Where were you studying at that point?
MBIT.
MBIT, okay.
Then later on, these two, AVRA and AWOS, came together. Then NAL had renamed it as Drishti.
Oh, yeah, I read about Drishti just recently. The lady who was involved with it is getting a Padma Shri, I think.
Yeah.
So it actually started with your dad creating that system and then it's evolved to become Drishti now.
It's actually been renamed because the CSIR, which oversees NAL, had also certified an email to me.
Okay.
That has just been renamed from AVRA to Drishti.
So it's a very illustrious chain of people.
And so even now if you look at the tunnel road which is coming, so that was initially a concept that I had proposed in 2000-2001 to SM Krishna. So then he had presented it to the BBMP. He had asked me to present it. So all the records may be there in the BBMP as well.
So this is when you were still in college, in MVIT?
Yeah. So that's what the BBMP engineers are asking. How can a college guy come and talk about this to us?
How did you get access to SM Krishna when you were in college?
He had sent out a notice in the newspaper. Anyone who wants to communicate with me, use this email ID.
Oh my God, he was that accessible. And you wrote to him with the proposal for the tunnel road. You're going to get a lot of hate for this, okay? For the tunnel road, because many people are saying we don't need a tunnel road.
Yeah, but because it depends on how the concept is utilized and presented as well, I think. Like what happened on MG Road? They built the metro. The entire beautiful
boulevard's gone. But right now, though, the tunnel road they're saying is going to go under the nice rock. So the nice rock is going to get destroyed. Is what they're saying. I mean, so there's a lot of like citizen activation right now.
Hopefully they divert the route.
Coming from this illustrious line of 3 generations of people who've had so much impact, did you feel any pressure to also deliver impact in some form?
No, I don't think so because my parents gave me a free hand actually.
Okay. Between engineering and medicine, choose what you want.
Yeah, but I got both options. I preferred engineering. Plus, I was very interested in computers as well. So, like in 6th standard, they started this concept of clubs. You keep a separate period.
Yes, correct.
So, I went into a computer club.
Okay.
I was thrown out as too young.
You've also done something quite offbeat in that sense, right? You've done a lot of research on Bangalore. Where did that come from? You do walks called the Ken Your Community, also KYC, which is interesting. And these walks that you're currently doing, how did you research the material for it?
Throughout my life, basically, I've been very interested in Bangalore and Bangalore's history. So even in 2000-2001, when I was researching about the tunnel road, how it should be done, I was looking at various applications of it in Birmingham in UK and then US as well. So if you look at the old map of Bangalore, initially it was just like an entire big empty space with just the fort over there. Then the roads attacking the gate as well. From the old Madras Road, all those are the main roads that got formed. Then as it evolved, then you had 1806, you had that Vellore mutiny. Blackiston who had gone there. So he was assigned the task of building up a Bangalore cantonment as well. So they had the fear of being contained within the fort again.
Okay.
And then at that time, they realized that Tipu's rockets are still there inside the fort. They had a range of 1.5 miles to 2 miles. So they had to plan the cantonment beyond the boundary of that 2 miles. So in that is the wilderness, which is now called Carbon Park.
So that's why the cantonment came on this side of Carbon Park.
Yeah.
To create that distance between the Pete and themselves, to get themselves away from the firing range.
Correct. Plus, if they needed reinforcements, the old Madras Road was where troops could be rushed from Madras as well.
Let's just dial it back a bit. Where you said that in 2000-2001, you were looking at the tunnel road, you were looking at how it was being done in Birmingham. That time there was no internet.
There was a bit of internet.
Please.
Yeah, there was something called Cal Tiger.
I only remember some Ask Jeeves and my internet.
So Cal Tiger was a ISP in Calcutta.
Okay.
And they have a small bar that you have to load on your desktop, which will be rolling ads.
Okay.
And they'll give you free internet.
So you accessed Birmingham and the things that were happening there
And US as well.
via your Cal Tiger.
Yeah.
In your research of Bangalore, so obviously 2001 I was talking about Birmingham and all of that, but your other research, right? Where do you go to access it? Like how do you start? Where do you start? Because it's not available in our history books.
First, like if you take a name like say Burley, search online in archive and other places, publicly accessible resources. Through that you can get some family trees, connect with the family descendants of those. Then you have the BAXA, which is the British Association for Cemeteries and all that. So one of my maternal granduncles, Admiral Dawson, he had helped preserve a lot of funeral stones and all that in the cemeteries over here. Through him we had got contacts as well.
So who was Burley?
So Burley was actually a family belonging to a collector of Tinnevelly district. So he actually had objected to a leave to be taken by one of the servants in Tinnevelly district.
Okay.
So this servant had mixed up some poison with their butter and given it to them on their morning bread. I think a couple died as per the records as well. So the family came back and stayed over there in that street. So that is now it's called Murder Lane.
The murder happened in Tirunelveli and here it's called Murder Lane. Dang.
And it's close to the graveyard as well. So the Richmond town area has a lot of Anglo-Indian names.
Yes, correct.
Because they were all, some of them are PWD employees and all that.
What is your favorite story about Bangalore that you've researched and you said, man, this is amazing?
So like St. Mark's Church, where I'm a member as well.
This is MG Road number one MG Road.
The actual number one.
The actual number one MG Road, yeah.
So while going through various archives and connecting with people, I was amazed to find out that there used to be a bell that was always on the ground when I was a child in St. Mark's Church ground. It was fixed on a pedestal on the ground.
Okay.
So I always just be curious, why is that so? Then I realized through this research that initially a tower had been planned where there's a dome now. So the church is basically like a cross formation, and towards the top of the cross you have like a dome structure, which is said to resemble St. Paul's dome. They had planned a tower with 8 bells in 1900 or so. So they had built up that tower when Captain Lord Bunyard had been assigned the task of building the tower. Around Christmas time, the choir had gone there, practiced and all that, and come out. Few hours after they left, it all came crashing down. Church in ruins, organ destroyed. Right. And all this was for nothing, they'd have thought. The Mysore Palace also had undergone a fire, so it was getting restructured.
Right.
So the architect who was supposed to be responsible for Mysore, Irwin, he was busy over there in Mysore. So no one to look after this. So at that moment, a young architect had stepped off the ship in Madras called James Ransom. He was a Royal Institute of British Architects, RIBA architect.
Okay.
He had been brought by Curzon over here. So as soon as he saw this, he had come straight from London. So he designed a dome similar to St. Paul's dome. He had lived just a few miles away from St. Paul's in London.
Right.
So he had designed it, and then that was implemented over there. And soon after that, he got into altercations with Curzon because Curzon had his own concepts. He wanted a Gothic style of architecture in Bombay, Neoclassical in Calcutta, and the Madras side should be Indo-Saracenic. So like Russell Market and all that you see. So Indo-Saracenic is basically the fusion of the Mughal style architecture with a little of British element in it. So this is like basically like the last laugh of James Ransom before he has to follow Curzon's orders. So the next building and like the Burma High Courts and all that which he does is all the Indo-Saracenic style.
Okay.
But this is totally out.
You talked about the plague, right? So I know Malleshwaram was built because of the plague, but you were also mentioning something about Miller's Road.
Miller's Road was close to where the railway station,
which is Cantonment railway station is, yes.
So they needed to have like a camp. So people who came from the station had to be stopped, checked, quarantined if required, and then only permitted. So that Miller's Road area was like the plague camp area. And then of course Frasertown, as you know, that became the new extension post the plague. So they needed a new extension where they wanted fresh air because they felt plague was caused due to bad air, bad soil and all that. So they needed something where they needed a completely open space. So only 2/3 of each plot should be occupied by a garden. And then the roofs are all those clay tile roofs, what they call the Mangalore tiles. No? And they'll always allow a passage of air through it. So the Basin Mission was one of the missionary organization which had come from Germany. So when they came here, they decided they won't give direct employment or money to anyone. If they needed food or anything at the time of famine, they had to work for it.
Okay.
So they had to either work through tile factories run by the Waste Mission, or like how Standishley did. He used to get them educated in weaving and all that, and then employ them in the mills, the Bangalore mills.
Okay.
So the Wesleyan Mission also used to employ everyone. They used to educate them and then employ them. But they found a lower success rate because like the Mudalyas and the Standishley used to do caste-based selection and then educate them and employ them.
Okay.
So that they could continue in their particular profession. Whereas the Wesleyans looked at everyone as an equal opportunity. Because even if you look at the tanks in Bangalore, they used to have like 3 sides.
Right. So these you're talking about the Kalyanis. Did you go down?
Yeah, so you'll have like a right side, left side, and then the parias who had to come from the third side.
So even the wells were designed for access based on caste.
Yeah. So like at that time when the Shule tank was getting extended.
The Shule tank is which one again?
The Bangalore football stadium, which keeps collapsing. Cathedral Stadium also, for example, it always used to get flooded when I was small. And the fire engines will come and pump out all the water.
In that area, there were Kantirva Stadium was a tank. The Bangalore football stadium was a tank. A little further away, Majestic was a tank. And Halasuru was a tank. Were there any more tanks around that area that I'm missing?
So in between the fort and the PTA, there was actually one more smaller tank and all that.
Okay.
So those tanks were important because when you're doing the construction of forts, for example, you need to make bricks. For that, you need clay and water.
Right.
So those tanks which are close to the PTA and all that were good for the mud-walled fort and all that.
Got it. Okay.
And also when the famine happened, at that time, Sampangi Ramnagar tank, which is now Kanthira Stadium, that was extended by Colonel Sankey. So there again, the caste community discussion came into being. The guys who actually dug the tank and extended it were actually weavers from the weaving community.
Okay.
But they did such a good job, they said, let's change their caste to well diggers. At that time, of course, the commissioner was L.B. Bowring, Lewin Bentham Bowring. So he wanted to uplift everyone to equal status as well.
Right. Saying don't want caste like that.
Don't want caste and all that. Because his middle name, Bentham also, is the name of a social reformer in Britain as well. Bowring's father was actually the governor of Hong Kong. So there's a lot of influence over there. His wife is supposed to have been buried actually in St. Patrick's Cathedral Church.
Okay.
So he had influenced also the council, like one person, J.W. Hayes is also there. So he was also a councillor and a Freemason as well. So he also wanted to ensure that everyone is getting uplifted. So when they came forward with this proposal for 3 steps, he said nothing doing, single set of steps. Water is a common resource for all.
Okay, this is morbid, but it was very fascinating that someone was executed in front of a cannon.
1806, I told you, right, that the Vellore mutiny happened and then they had to recover and then they set up the cantonment here.
Yes.
Now in 1827 again, there was a uprising among the people over here.
In Bangalore?
In Bangalore. There was a person called Syed Tipu who was a Havildar here. So he said he'll be the new king.
This is not Tipu Sultan, this is one Havildar. This is another Tipu.
So he has brought together a group of people with a plan to overcome the British. First overcome those who are there in the fort, then come to the cantonment area and then kill them. But this plan was discovered. So then they were brought for trial. Then the British had to show an example to the others so that they don't repeat it as well. So there's a Mughal concept at that time of when you execute someone, you tie them to the cannon in front like this, and then you fire the cannon from back and it explodes. So next time you go to Chinnaswamy Stadium, you may think about this story then. Because that may be the area where they did it, at one corner of the parade grounds. It's also closest to the Pete area, so that people from the Pete area could also be a witness to this morbid scene. Because after that, all the eagles come around for the remains as well.
Is it true that Joseph's actually started in St. Germain's and then moved to where it is right now?
Yeah, that's correct. Because in 1854, there's a person, Wood, who brought about a policy which was called the Magna Carta of India, that there should be education for all. So in 1854, actually, the Good Shepherd sisters who came to Bangalore, they are the first to open like a formal school in this area where the Residency Road is, the Good Shepherd Convent.
Right.
So that is where they started.
Okay.
Then after that...
That used to be a prison and then a museum, and now it then became a school.
First it was a British residency.
Oh, it was
where
British.
Sir Mark Cubbon lived.
Oh, okay.
Then that's why it's called Residency Road. So Mark Cubbon was still living over there. And then after he moved to where the Raj Bhavan is, so that became the convent for the Good Shepherd.
Right.
They started a school over there as well. Then on the other side was where the old jail had been. It was called the town jail, which was then converted to a museum. This was facing Cattle Club. So that became the museum. Edward Balfour had started the museum.
Yes.
Which was then moved to now Kasturba Road.
Which is the government museum now, right?
So then St. Joseph's was started in 1857 actually in St. Germain's. Government records and the University of Madras records all recorded in 1857.
Okay.
1858 is when the British Empire took over as such from the East India Company.
Right.
After the Second Anglo-Persian War. 1857 is when they started in what's called St. Germain's School now on St. John's Road.
Yes.
It started off in a small house-like structure over there. So then when they needed to build a building as well, now the Jesuits are very good at science and architecture and all that. So they have a specific prescribed book of architecture that designs have to follow this certain plan.
Right.
So the original building, which is now St. Germain's, and the building which came up in Residency Road, Museum Road Junction. So that followed the same style of architecture.
Okay. And you did mention Father Vizak.
Yeah, so
Vizak.
So he was a principal at that time for St. Joseph's as well. So he had designed and provided the architecture style as well.
Oh, so both St. Germain's and Joseph's in their current form were designed by Father Vizak.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Interesting. In fact, I belonged to Vizak House in St. Germain's. So the 4 houses were green, red, blue, yellow, which was Aranjo, Roger, Thomas, and Vizak. So I was in Vizak House. What are the houses in St. Joseph's?
Andrews, Davis, George's, Patrick's. I was from Patrick's.
Patrick's is green?
Yeah. Rahul Dravid's house.
True. Nice. Rahul Dravid has been mentioned again in the podcast.
And there'll be one more Josephite who I've never been mentioned before. One person called Frederick Friedel. So he's designed a software called Fritz. It's a very famous chess software, which even people like Viswanathan Anand, Gary Kasparov still use and recommend to this day. Even I used it when I was playing chess in school and college.
Wow. You do multiple walks, right? Across the city. Which is your favorite area to go?
Probably Residency Road, Richmond Town, MG Road will be the favorite area because I pretty much lived and grown up there, seen things transform.
Tell us a story from Richmond, Residency, any of those.
You've heard of all the HAL airport and all that, how it started as well.
Yes.
So prior to that, there was something called the Mysore Airways, which was started. So in 1912 and all that, of course, travel was not that frequent. So the Maharaja had gone to Germany and all that by KLM Airlines. Post that, Tata, of course, had set up his airline as well, and he was flying Bombay and all that. Now the planters, the United Planters Association of South India, which is here, and the Mysore planters, they said, there's planes going from Bombay as well. Why don't we transfer our goods and people as well to Bombay? So they started what's called the Mysore Airways Syndicate. You know where the Premier Bookshop was?
Yes.
So that entire plot was supposed to be where, it was a large plot in those days. That is where the syndicate office was. So they needed planes and all that. So they were debating how to get planes, whether to build them or to import them.
Right.
So they decided to get some second-hand planes, some clubs in England, via Madras and then bring them here. Then in 1939 or so, then of course the war started in well. And that's when they had a plan in Jaipur as well. They had already got land in Jaipur where now the Deccan Airways and all that, the club was started there. So that was a place where they were supposed to start the Mysore Airways.
What is the connection between the hockey stadium and Halasuru?
So hockey stadium is an area called Akittimanahalli. There used to be a ceremony that used to happen once a year apparently in Akittimanahalli of fire walking. Halasuru, which some people say is due to jackfruit leaves. And
Jackfruit. It was a jackfruit orchard.
No, it's actually not that.
It's not that.
So they used to move from there outside Halasuru towards Akittimanahalli for the function, the fire walking, and then return again. So the Holiars are apparently a community which has kept away from them because they used to deal with cattle and all that. Whereas here they were more of the tribes who were growing rice, ragi and all that.
Right.
So then again you see the community separation. So the Holeyas are, Horgade you say in Kannada.
Yes.
But Holeyas at that time were kept outside there was like a hedge structure surrounding the fields. So they were kept outside that. And what became Halasuru.
You know this because, like,
Because I went through all the research of the papers and all that. That's why it was called Halasuru as per the British. Then, of course, the British Mangala Indian words call it Halasuru. Suru. So, if you look at it from the Bangalore perspective, at that time World War I was happening, right?
Right.
So, at World War I time, there was something called the velocipede and all that had come in. So, now they were going for motorized transport as well.
Right.
So then at that time, what was required was wheels with tires, so the rubber tires and all that. But the problem was when the rubber tire comes within firing range, you fire a shot, you got a flat.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Huh.
You need to recover quickly.
Right.
So in that case, what has to be done is it has to be quickly patched up and all that.
Huh.
So you need to quickly patch it up means you have the patch in your hand. But then you apply it, but what do you stick it with?
Right.
So inside the tire, they use this General Wapshire, who was of the Bangalore Brigade. He invented a purpose wherein there will be some fibers within the tire as well. So then you can apply the patch and then re-inflate it. The pressure will keep the patch in place and the fibers also hold it in place. So then you can continue in the battlefield. So this was a very important thing for them at that time.
Well, this was a makeshift patch in that sense.
Yeah, it was a makeshift patch.
Just to like finish the battle and come back. Okay. And this was invented in Bangalore.
Yeah, it was invented.
So, Sunil, what according to you would be the 5 wonders of Bangalore?
5 wonders would probably be first the Lalbagh Rock.
Please tell us why also, okay? Right, for each of these wonders. The Lalbagh Rock, the nice rock because of how old it is, and also personal connection that your father was responsible, your grandfather was responsible for saving the rock.
Then you talk about the glass house in Lalbagh.
Okay,
because originally it started as just the part which the British constructed, then an additional wing was added by the Indians, which resemble the same structure as well, using the iron and steel from Bhadra Iron Works in Karnataka.
Okay.
1975 also apparently is where my grandfather celebrated his 75th birthday.
In the glass house?
Yeah, with the family in December.
Okay.
Then the Cubbon Park is another one. How it has evolved, it is transformed, it is still fought against all the forces that are trying to bring it down. Then another one would be seen Mark's Cathedral. How that again has gone through various transformations. It has seen fire, it has seen falling brickwork, and still has come back as a cathedral, as a church.
What does Bangalore mean to you, Sunil?
So Bangalore is like a living organism which has given life to so many people, and which will continue to give life to many more, but which we also need to take care and look after.
Right. Okay.
And we also need to understand it. That's why all of us need to go for more history walks.
More history walks. Well done. Well plugged, I say. So your walks are called, your Instagram page is Ken Your Community, right? So KENYORE Community.
Of course, there are other good people as well.
Walks,
Arun Pai,
but they're not
Mansur
sitting
Ali.
here right now. No, you're sitting right now. So we'll plug your walk. And how often do you do your walks, Sunil?
Generally try for once a month. I've taken a pause because the summer heat is pretty intense.
Right.
I've done a recent Richmond town walk.
People fainted and all?
No, not fainted. I advised them to carry water, but they didn't carry, so you had to stop at restaurants.
Okay.
Pick up some
Okay.
cooling stuff.
You've told us some fabulous stories. You've broken some myths. Good luck with your walks. I think that's one way for... I've learned so much through just going on walks with people, and it's a great way to learn the history. You've obviously done a lot of research.